This is Share the Vision, presented by the Resource Center, a discussion of the programs and services of the Resource Center and about issues related to individuals with disabilities. Today, Friday, the 16th of June, 2017, I stand with Steve Watterson at the intersection of Fairmount and West 6th in Jamestown under a blazing summer sun. A crowd has gathered here. Obviously, there's some big thing that's about to happen here, Steve.
Hey, Dennis, how are you doing?
Fine.
We are here. We're actually dedicating, right now, the building that's located at 92 Fairmount Avenue. This is the corporate offices of Filling the Gap, which oversees a number of corporate entities that work with the Resource Center to support people with disabilities in our community. And we are formally naming this building today the Felice Corporate Center in memory of Michael J. Felice and in honor of the contributions that Mike and his family have made to the Resource Center, to Filling the Gap Network, and to folks with disabilities over the last 30-plus years.
Well, let me say that just about 10 feet behind us here, members of the Felice family have gathered for a photograph under the large metal sign on the side of this building that now says Felice Corporate Center.
Yes, yeah. The lettering on the building went up within the last couple of weeks. It looks great, and we'll be unveiling a plaque inside as part of the dedication ceremony this afternoon.
And a wonderful opportunity. A large crowd has already gathered here, and we're still a few minutes away from the actual beginning time of this to remember and honor Mike. And I'm sure we're going to hear a lot of great things about a great man here this afternoon.
Absolutely.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Denise Jones. I'm the CEO of the Resource Center and the Filling the Gap Network of organizations, and I'm very excited to be here to honor a very special family and a very special man. Mike, Felice, and Laura have all been very much involved in part of our organization. And the thing about their involvement with the organization is it wasn't just about them volunteering their time. They really became part of the TRC family, and their family became part of TRC. And I see many of their friends and family in the room that have done volunteer efforts and been part of our organization through the years, and we so appreciate that. We appreciate that they've given us the gift of their daughter, Jennifer, and entrusted her care to us as the organization, and we love Jennifer and her smiley face. I run into her quite often in the community and at our locations, and we love that she's been part of our family here as well.
Mike Felice died last October 16th at the age of 85. Now, once again, Denise Jones of the Resource Center.
I just want to go back. I've been with the organization for about 27 years, and Mike's obviously been involved with the organization longer and had been involved in the organization longer than that. But I have some initial memories of him actually with the Resource Center, and some of them were coming in to work as the first internal auditor of the agency and walking in and seeing Mike signing checks with an automatic check signer back in the day, and just always his presence. And I think that was the one thing. He would always, whenever he was needed, he was there. I mean, he was someone to be absolutely counted on, and just how much we appreciated that cannot be understated. On a personal note, Mike was originally from the Binghamton area and went to Harper College, and I went to Binghamton University, which used to be known as Harper College. So he and I always had some really good reminiscing to do about our times in education back there. Also, on a personal note, leadership can kind of be a lonely place from time to time, and we've always had a great history of great leadership and great governance in the organization. But Mike was always that person that would come up to me and pull me aside and say, "How are you doing?" Not how's the organization doing, but how are you doing? There was always a personal touch to everything that he did. He really led with his heart, and his love of his family and friends was always evident in everything that he did. So I just want to go back and talk about a couple of things under Mike's leadership, and I'm going to talk specifically to the early days in the Resource Center. He was our board chair from 1998 to 1991, which was a significant time of growth for the organization. And under his leadership, we opened our diagnostic and treatment centers in Jamestown. We established a central intake office to establish a single point of entry for people seeking services to streamline the processes. The board adopted the agency's first strategic plan under his leadership. We assumed operations of the Gateways Continuing Day Treatment Program from the Gowanda Psychiatric Center and established psychosocial clubs in Dunkirk and Jamestown. So we really expanded our mental health services under his leadership as well. We gained a national spotlight during that period of time by making the first helmet covers for troops participating in Operation Desert Storm. So we really expanded our sewing operation and manufacturing operations as well. And then we produced air cargo bags to airdrop relief supplies in Bosnia. So really some significant accomplishments. Also, the annual Disability Awareness Award celebration was established under his leadership, which is significant because that's where we started talking about being able to honor the entire Felice family by naming this facility in honor and in memory of Mike. So it's a great event, and we've been able to continue that on from that point in time. And with that, I'd like to, I understand Mr. Fisher, Dan Fisher, has a few words to say. Is that true?
I didn't know that, did I? I didn't know that.
You didn't? Oh. Well, we can move on.
Boy, gee, can I ad-lib something? I don't know.
Dan Fisher, now of Batavia, was a well-known local radio newscaster and radio executive in Jamestown for many decades.
Well, for all the years that I worked for Mike at WKSN for almost 30 years, I guess. And the Resource Center was always in the periphery of everything we did at the radio station. Mike was very proud of his work there, and so proud of this lady, who was really the inspiration for everything that Mike did. And it permeated the staff. And so whatever little part that I played in things, I think I emceed the Disability Awareness Awards a couple of times, it was because of Mike and because of Jen, and I'm very proud of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike Suppa, I believe you have some words to share.
Mike Suppa is the Vice President of Support Enterprises, one of the corporations that's part of Filling the Gap.
I'm going to read a letter that Bill Brothers asked me to read today. Mike Felice was a special man. He gave generously of his time, talents, and resources, and was an inspiration to many. The Felice Corporate Center will stand as a legacy to his work that will continue even after his death. Mike would be touched and humbled by this dedication. Please accept my sincere regrets that I cannot attend the dedication of the Felice Corporate Center. Please know that I will be with you in my thoughts. Please give Jennifer and Laura my best and let them know it was a privilege to know Mike. I'm honored to be part of the Resource Center and their important work in the community. Sincerely, William Brothers.
Just to note here, William Brothers is the CEO and founder of Premier Consulting Associates of Amherst, a supporter of the Resource Center. He received TRC's Humanitarian of the Year award a few years ago. Now back to Mike Suppa.
I just wanted to add from the Filling the Gap perspective that Michael was all class all the time. He was a wonderful man to work with, and we're all better for it. Thanks.
Stepping up to the microphone now, longtime supporter and board member of the Resource Center, Greg Peterson.
They wanted some gray-haired guy to come up here to go back to the beginning. So when they talk about in the good old days in 1988, I can go back to the good old days in 1976. I know this shocks you, shocks everybody, but how thrilled I am, and I had a chance to do a little bit of a reminiscence on Mike with Jennifer's assistance. We stood up front there at that particular meeting, and it was just a magical moment to reflect on what Mike has meant to so many people, and especially this Resource Center and its mission. It cannot be overstated of what he did, the time he gave, and as Dan talked about how it permeated so many aspects, including some fun things we did, which was to be the ticket sales agent for the Jamestown Expos, and Dan's folks at WKSN were co-opted, as was another radio station, WJTN, and Post Journal. Everybody got co-opted to do something really exclusive, interesting, which ultimately got picked up by then the predecessor to ESPN, and the Resource Center got all kinds of national accolades. But really, the guys behind all that were Mike. You know, he visualized how this fun sports business aspect could, in fact, be a fundraiser, create some real great visibility, and all of the Special Olympians had a chance to go out and play on the field with guys like Marquis Grissom and others. That was cool. That was really cool, but that was Mike. And we had so many other things like that. But throughout that, the stabilizing force at the Resource Center was Mike. He had a real corporate sense to him. He listened very well, a great attribute to have. And it would be great if we'd send him down to Washington right now so people could actually listen. But Mike did that, and then upon that, we'd look towards him to provide that leadership, that sound, sage advice, digesting all that there was going on. And there was a lot going on, and there is a lot going on here at the Resource Center. I don't know of any organization, and I've been involved in a few, which has so many dynamics, moving parts. And it took leadership of the chairmanship like Mike and those who worked under him, like Mike Raymond and Paul and now Denise. It's really an honor to reflect on Mike, and we could go on. But I think we're at a point where I'd like to, lead the dedication and remove this. And Laura, Jennifer, why don't you come forward and come on over here. Come on over here. All right, Jennifer. Laura, and tell you what, Jennifer, why don't you grab this with me? See this right here? And you go, Laura, get on the other side. So on behalf of the Resource Center, Filling the Gap, and all the various entities, if you want to grab that, we're going to pull this down here. Watch this. The Felice Corporate Center in honor of Jennifer and Laura and Michael Felice. So congratulations.
You are about to hear the voice of Laura Felice, Mike's wife.
Well, I wasn't going to say anything, but I don't know where to begin, but I'm sure Mike is looking down and would be so happy and proud of this. But I can't thank everybody at the Resource Center. I mean, he just loved the Resource Center, and he loved everybody he worked with, and all his family and friends and all the people he knew throughout his life while we were here. He would have just been so honored, and thank you.
At this point, the Felice's daughter, Jennifer, mentioned earlier in this program, wanted to address the crowd at the Felice Corporate Center.
Hey, Mike, I love you. I miss you a lot. I love you. A lot. In my heart, pride and joy.
There are refreshments for you all, and thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
There is a rather extensive narrative on this plaque that was just unveiled, and I want to read it all to you. There's a picture of Mike and Laura and their daughter, Jennifer, at the top, and it says, soon after his youngest daughter, Jennifer, began receiving supports from the Resource Center, Michael J. Felice joined TRC's board of directors. He was a member of the board for 13 years, serving as vice president from 1985 to 1988 and president from 1988 to 91. From 1995 to 2016, Mike served on the boards of the corporations that operate under the umbrella of Filling the Gap Incorporated. For much of that period, Mike was the chair of several of these boards at the same time. For 10 years, Mike served on the steering committee of the TRC Golf Classic, our most successful fundraising event. Mike's influence cannot be overstated. He helped guide the Resource Center through a time of tremendous growth in the 1980s and 90s, and he nurtured the TRC Foundation, Filling the Gap, and the other corporations from their infancy up to the present day. Mike and his wife Laura are members of the TRC Foundation's Legacy Circle of Donors. They've donated in support of many initiatives and causes, and they made a financial contribution that enabled the Resource Center to open a home in Frewsburg. They also worked with other families to start the monthly dances at the Resource Center that the Resource Center hosts for people with developmental disabilities. Laura has served on the boards of the Resource Center and Chautauqua Connections. In recognition of all their many contributions, Mike and Laura received the Resource Center's Lifetime Achievement Award in 2011. In addition to Jennifer, Mike and Laura have 5 other children: Lori Allen, Carol Davidson, Michelle Wessendorf, George Wheeler, and Robert Wheeler. They and their spouses have followed their parents' example by also supporting our mission. We are proud to dedicate this building as the Felice Corporate Center in honor of Mike and Laura Felice and their family.
I turned around from the reading of that sign and saw another of the children of Mike and Laura Felice.
First, what is your name?
Carol.
Carol. And of the 6 children, where do you fit in?
Mike's middle. I'm his daughter, his second daughter.
Talk to me a little bit on behalf of the family, a little bit about your dad at home. I mean, who was the Mike Felice at home? Similar to the man that was described here today?
I think the same man that you see. Always kind, always doing the right thing, always making the right decisions, always being there to guide us the right direction.
What was the?
And he was the boss.
Oh, that. What was at least for the first part of what you said, what was the genesis of that richness and the desire to contribute back to the community? Where did that come from in his spirit? Can you tell me?
I think it really helped when Jennifer was born. I think it probably started there. Not knowing what to do, how to educate her, how to get involved. And then as he learned more about that, he thought, well, this is a great thing. I want to get myself involved in it as well.
And he was the boss at home as well as at the radio station, huh?
Well, he thought he was. He thought he was. He was certainly in charge.
Well, thank you very much for your time and the opportunity to speak to you at this really very delightful occasion this afternoon.
Thank you as well. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you. This is Cindy Phillips. Give us your role at the Resource Center today, Cindy.
I'm Vice President of Business and Finance for the sister corporations that have a related mission to the Resource Center.
And you worked closely with Mike Felice over a period of time.
Yes. I've been here 33 years, and Mike has been the chair of all of these sister corporations since 1995. He was a very accommodating man. Anytime we needed anything, he would run right down. We didn't need to bring anything to him. He was always there, and his leadership was just really great. And as Denise had mentioned earlier, everything came from the heart. He was concerned not only with the organization, but the staff and folks that actually work here also.
I want to delve into this just a little more deeply to help the audience understand and to say for the record these things about Mike Felice now that he is no longer with us. Because he was a very soft-spoken, rather easy-going man. He was not the pound the fist on the table sort of leader.
Absolutely not.
So what was his leadership style? How did he get things done, Cindy?
I think just knowing that his heart was in it, he would make phone calls after meetings to find out if he wasn't sure he needed more information. He was behind the scenes a lot more than a lot of people knew. He was at every event we had and just always there. So.
Well, thank you very much. And I know that this is a very poignant moment, must be for you as well as other people here at Filling the Gap in particular who knew him so well.
Yes, thank you.
You must feel good about the fact that his building now bears his name.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Another person who worked very closely over the years with Mike Felice is Wayne Hotelling of Silver Creek.
Wayne Hotelling, 30 seconds.
Yes.
A moment for your recollections of the work of Mike Felice and his leadership style, something we've been focusing on here in the latter part of Share the Vision today.
I think Mike was the super advocate as an example for family members. And when I got on the board in 85, he, along with a number of others, served as examples for me, which has helped me, I think, to do some things that I never would have been able to accomplish without, their particular advice and leadership. He was just a human being, and he was personable. That was the thing about Mike.
He was very soft-spoken and easygoing, and yet we keep hearing about his leadership and all that he accomplished, and I'm interested in finding out more about how, with that very easygoing style, he managed to get so much done.
Well, I think just because he was so dedicated, and as a father and as an advocate, I mean, he was just someone who put everything into that aspect of what can we do, to make it better for people with disabilities. And like I said before, he was the president before I was the 3 years, and I learned a lot in watching him. And it seemed as though anytime we had a general, annual meeting, it was always, okay, what about this? Well, Mike had this, Mike had that, and he seemed to wear so many hats. But, I mean, he did it in a manner and a way in which he fulfilled what was supposed to be done with each and every, opportunity that he became involved with and accepted.
There's a family waiting for you to drive, Wayne, so I better let you go. But thank you for your
you
time.
bet, Dennis. Thank you. It was an honor for us to be here.
This is Share the Vision, presented by the Resource Center on WJTN.
This is a Where Are They Now moment.
Where are they now? Where are you?
No, it's where you are.
Oh!
This is Dan Fisher, voice many people listening to this program may recognize for his years as a newscaster and manager at what was then the other radio station in Jamestown. Dan, first, nice to see you again. Thank you for coming to this event.
Thank you, Dennis. Good to see you, always.
I'm sure some copy here you could read. I'd have you.
Really?
You could redo the news.
Can I do some commercial copy?
All I have is the program introduction for the Resource Center.
Oh, I can do that.
Okay, so here's Dan Fisher. You're going to read the...
This is Share the Vision, presented by the Resource Center, a discussion of the programs and services of the Resource Center and about the issues related to individuals with disabilities.
And then there's a blank.
I have to fill in the blank.
Yeah, well, today we're dedicating the Felice Corporate Center, and you're a part of that program.
And today we are dedicating the Felice Corporate Center in honor of my dear friend and former boss, Mike Felice.
So
you could do a little editing on that.
I don't have to. It's perfect.
I know.
Dan Fisher, what was it like to work for Mike Felice?
Oh, good question, Dennis. He, a man of the highest integrity. If I think of one word about Mike, it's integrity, honesty. He was my boss for many years, and almost 30 years. And over the course of that time, we became very good friends. Mike was my best friend. And it never once interfered with business. And I think that's kind of unusual. And when Mike retired, I was fortunate enough to take over his position and was most importantly able to call upon him for guidance and counsel, which I did frequently.
His leadership style, we've been talking a lot about that in the interviews after the formal ceremony today, because he was a quiet, soft-spoken man who got a lot of things done.
And he got it done with that type of approach. Mike earned respect of his subordinates, and it was that calm approach to business challenges that I think we all admired, and he got things done. It wasn't a tyrannical leadership by any means, and when times were good, you'd get that oftentimes non-negotiable pat on the back. But when times were not so good, it was never let's go out to the woodshed. It was what do we have to do. And, I've kind of adopted that with the little staff that I have now, and I got that all from Mike.
Where are you now?
Well, I own a fine local radio station in Batavia, New York, WBTA, FM and AM, and it is the only radio station in Genesee County. We have been on the air for 76 years. I wasn't there in the beginning. But
you were here. No.
Yeah, I was there. The station was honored several times during its 75th year, and Dennis is much like WJTN. It is a station that the community has grown up with. Generations of people have listened to the station. As you know, we call it in the business a heritage station. And we do a lot of local news. We do a lot of high school sports. We do talk Yes, we play music, but it's not the main thing we do. Our job is to reflect the community, and that's what makes it fun.
Well, Dan, nice to see you back in Jamestown. Best of luck with your current venture, and thank you for your very kind memories of Mike Felice.
Thank you, Dennis, very much. Good to see you.
Good to see you also.
Next, someone else who once worked in the media with Mike Felice.
This is Gene Aversa. How did you know Mike Felice? Give us a little bit of the background of your relationship.
I met Mike Felice in 1981 when I went to work for Group W Cable. Michael was the vice president and ran 2 radio stations. We became very dear and close friends.
Now, weren't you competitors?
We were competitors, but because we became very close, dear friends, we did a lot of projects together, which really opened up a great deal. From bringing ESPN to town, to doing news on cable television, doing the job fair in 19 whatever year, which was a huge encounter. But Michael was a very special person, a very special friend. I don't know what else to say except I feel pretty privileged that I knew him, and he was a very dear friend.
Well, I've been kind of prying a little bit, probing a little bit as to his operating style and the way he got things done. Gene, what's your response to that? Tell me about the Mike Felice, the achiever that you knew.
Mike empowered people. He facilitated people to do other things. He gave them opportunities, and he was always someone good to bounce things off of. But Mike liked to see other people accomplish things, and that's what he did. He was a mellow guy, but very patient, very deliberate, just, again, very special.
Gene, thank you for your time and for your words.
Thank you. Okay.
Appreciate it. Okay.
And now one more moment with the wife of Mike Felice.
Laura, if I might just get a final comment from you as this radio program draws to a close today. It certainly has been a great celebration here at the naming of this facility for your husband.
Yes, I honestly, I can't say enough about the Resource Center and his participation in it, and it's as a result of our daughter Jennifer. And he's just been a wonderful husband, and no matter what he has done in his life, he's always excelled, and I'm very proud of him. And because of Jennifer, and I'm sure he's looking down from heaven and is very honored by this.
Well, you know, what we've learned in talking to people here today is that Mike was an overachiever who had the demeanor of an underachiever. He was so calm and relaxed about everything, but he got so much done.
Yes, he did. And as they said, he was always a listener, and actually that's what attracted me to him in the beginning, because he would, no matter what I wanted to say, he just sat and listened. And he was very influential in shaping my life too.
And the Felice family interest and contribution to the Resource Center goes on. You still have very much a heart for all that happens here at Filling the Gap and at TRC.
Absolutely, and I will until I'm no longer here.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Steve Watterson, we're just in the final moment of this special Share the Vision show today, and it really says a lot about Mike Felice and a lot about the Resource Center and its associated corporations and how they run when you talk to the people who were deeply engaged and involved in Mike's life.
Oh, absolutely. We had a lot of people show up here who were longtime friends of Mike's, some former coworkers of Mike's, and some staff of the Resource Center and the Filling the Gap Corporation. And, you know, you talk to anybody, they only have wonderful things to say about Mike and his influence on the Resource Center and the history of our agency and everything that he did for us. So very happy to be able to dedicate this building, not only Mike, but also to Laura and Jennifer and all of the family for all that they've done on behalf of people with disabilities and for the Resource Center and Filling the Gap. And now this is a building that will carry on the Felice name and legacy forever and ever.
Well, and the other thing that it says about the Resource Center and its associated corporations is that you take the time and have the heart to remember, to honor those who helped found this organization or these organizations today, because there are multiple parts of it, and respect and honor and learn from their contributions.
Absolutely. This is another perfect example of the fact that the Resource Center was built in the late 1950s on the efforts of families and was sustained throughout the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s by families and carries on today. And they're just families have always been very much involved, but there are some families that really have risen to another level and have just made the Resource Center and its mission a priority for them in their lives. And Mike and Laura Felice are two of those people. And they set an example, a shining example, for what volunteers at any organization can be.
Well, and with that, from Fairmount Avenue in Jamestown near the 6th Street Bridge, thank you for sharing the vision today.